Big Sugar 2025, we are out here. We've been here for the last few days talking with pros, non-pros alike about the course, the changes, the rain, the potential like tornado that people were worried about happening. The race got shortened from 100 miles to 50 miles. I have the top bikes, the top finishers, and their setups. I'm gonna walk you through all of them, and we're gonna talk about perhaps a little bit of what we might start seeing next year in the Life Time Grand Prix and the elites in the gravel space. Let's talk about the race. So for the elites, Big Sugar Gravel was gonna be 100 miles and about 6,000 feet. At the last moment, due to an inclement, crazy storm that people were worried about being a tornado potentially, or a tornado warning, the race got shortened to 50 miles. And so that means carnage, especially if there's gonna be rain. A couple things to note about Big Sugar Gravel: typically has a reputation for being like a category 2 or category 3 type of gravel situation, with the rocks being particularly sharp. We saw in the previous week with Little Sugar that there were a ton of flats, and so we are expecting some flats to be out here today. Talking to some pros, they are going for definitely a more endurance-oriented casing if they could help it. Just like any other Big Sugar race, this race is gonna be pretty darn punchy. For the most part, this 50-mile course is actually a lot smoother than the 100-mile course was, at least that's what the pros are telling me. And so as a result, there were fewer flats than we would have expected. A lot of folks out here, it was a question of what tire they were gonna run. I think most pros were kind of just locked in, regardless of whether they were gonna have a 100-mile ride or a 50-mile ride. They knew that there's gonna be some sort of rain. And for a brief moment, at least in the men's and women's races alike, there was quite a bit of moisture out there. You'd think that the last race of the year would be calm. This year was anything but. On the men's side, the top 4 finishers were separated by just 2 points. You had Keegan Swenson coming in 1 point ahead of 2nd and 3rd place, and then you had 4th place just 2 points behind Keegan himself. 5th place is also pretty darn contested. There were just a few points behind there. 5th place gets you an automatic entry in the Lifetime Grand Prix, so that was gonna be hotly contested as well. On the women's side, it wasn't quite as tight, but you still had a question of who could have finished first if there was going to be a mechanical. Simone Pelot, you had Tourbillon, Andre Roed, you had Cam Jones and Keegan Swenson all kind of looking around at one another, trying to figure out who was gonna go first. What Cam told me, actually, I'm gonna let you see that right here. I have no idea what happened out there. What was going on in the last little bit?
There were people that weren't in the running for the overall just attacking the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, there's a few sort of like lower top 10 people attack, and they were marked by people that they were concerned with. I only had to watch 3 people, so I was there, like, I think I was taking on the race more than most. I had like half a dozen attacks, and was riding like Keegan went full gas every climb, and I was wise to it, just on his wheel. And it took a few flyers in the flat, but just made sure I was positioned at the front and never had to accelerate more than had to close gaps.
Who was the first person to go? Out of those 4?
Tourbillon had a good lead out, and then Keegan went, and I followed him. Yeah, I was straight on his wheel and came around him, and yeah, it was a long sprint, but yeah, with everything that was on the line, just had to go as deep as I could. I guess the big question I have here is a question of late night preparation. It felt like I was hearing 2 different races people were preparing for. They weren't sure if it was going to be a 50 or 100. Was that what was going on for you? I downloaded the 50 course last night, but didn't really look at it. I suspected it was a bit less technical, but yeah, don't think I would have changed anything if I'd had more time. 50 is plenty of volume, so yeah, I tried a 50 in the back, but it wasn't worth the risk of rubbing. Something went wrong with the wheel.
Season, is there anything that you're curious to dig into? I'm seeing Ryan Standish on a scale.
Yeah, I've got the parts for a drop bar mountain bike, so I got like a 90mm like adjustable angle stem, so I might slant that on the full sus and see how that goes.
Suspension fork on this at all? Is that worth
I've actually got a suspension fork on my Scott Addict gravel back home, so I have a go with that.
If you do a suspension fork, do you stick with a tire as wide as this, or do you go narrower? Do you tread?
Once, and so, yeah, the theory is you don't need as big a tire, but
congratulations again.
Thanks.
Yeah. All right. Specialized Crux. This is the bike Sofia Gomez Villafañe. This is the bike that she's been riding basically all year long, and she's been on a tear after winning Little Sugar last week and then Big Sugar this past weekend. Specialized Rapide Roval, Rapide cockpit, 2-piece system right here. Aero, stiff, works well. Specialized tracer, 50mm tires front and rear, 46 tooth chainring with a 10 to 52 tooth cassette. The big thing here, Roval unreleased Terra gravel carbon wheels with carbon spokes, what we presume them to be, because they have the same spoke system that you find on the new Revolve Repeat CLX3s that have the carbon spokes. There's also an updated hub here that appears to be shared with the Repeat CLX3 as well. That's the big thing that we noticed here from before. This is a specialized S-Works Power saddle, and it's not the new Power Evo saddle, but obviously this is working well for her. Why change that? Perhaps the more interesting bike setup right here, this is Matt Beers, who won the men's version of the race right here, and he's on an unreleased wheel set as well, but this one is completely new to Specialized. It looks like it's going to be called the Revolve Terra Aero wheel. It looks deeper, Specialized Pathfinder 50mm tires front and rear, but these Terra Aero CLX wheels are going to have carbon spokes, it appears, as well as the updated hub. Second place in the Elite Women's went to Lauren Stevens. This is the bike we've already seen, but with a new Shimano wireless drivetrain, XTR Di2 rear derailleur with the 10-51 XTR cassette with the Dura Ace crank, and then the Wolftooth Aero chainring, Envy SES 3.4 wheels, Vittoria Peyote 2.25 wheel tire in this Ventum GS1. That is pretty impressive to see on a bike like this. And then you have the Envy cockpit, and then in the back you have a Vittoria Terreno T50 tire, 50mm width in the back here. Perhaps a little bit more than other gravel races, I'm seeing riders like Lauren Stevens here with this Wove Mag saddle, but also with a top tube bag for snacks or what have you. This was a short race, but you know, you gotta have your stuff somewhere, and so it makes sense to have them here. This is that Aero chain rings, the 46 tooth right here, with the cutout specifically so you can have that power meter pod right there for these Dura Ace dual-sided power meter cranks. Overall, I think this is a good looking bike. Stars and Stripes suit her pretty well. Quick shout out to third place Elite Women's finisher Stella Hobbs, who did this on her mother's birthday. This is a SRAM Red Access 1x12 drivetrain, 10-52 tooth cassette, Crank Brothers cranks right here, Envy bars, Envy SES 3.4 wheels, and then the 50mm wide Specialized Tracer tires as well. This is the Envy SES AR bar. Even though it's a little bit out of focus, I'm going to tell you right now, this is a bar that you see pretty common amongst the elites here. I think it's a great handlebar. 46 tooth chainring for Stella Hobbs here. Quick note to Keegan Swenson right here, who is extremely aggressive on the day according to other racers right here. 45mm Maxxis Rambler tires front and rear with a 12-speed drivetrain. Everything else relatively stock. Russell Finsterwald said he brought a whole bunch of tires the night before, however he ended up on the now discontinued Conti Race King 2.2 in the front and the Terra Hardpack in the back and a 50mm. Trek claims a 45mm max tire clearance for its Checkmate. Obviously, there's a little bit more clearance here. Julien Gagne came to a tightly contested 4th place finish on his Da Vinci Hatchet Pro. That is a 45mm tire clearance as well. However, he's got a Maxxis Aspen ST up front and the 45mm tire in the back. SRAM Red Access 1x13 Explorer drivetrain in the back with a 10-46 tooth cassette, and the Wolftooth chain catcher right here. 46 tooth chainring, as I mentioned right here. He is maximizing every bit of clearance that this bike has to offer. It is pretty road bike like, and that is something that he even said right here. And as you can see right here, not a lot of tire clearance right here, but as you can see, you could fit an Aspen ST in that 2.1 inch or about 55mm width right here. My favorite part right here is this Shimano XTR pedal right here that he removed half a side to, so it's only able to clip in on one side. Now I do want to mention Sarah Sturm's bike. She finished 7th on the day on the Specialized Diverge. She's the only Specialized Pro rider to be on the Diverge this weekend. It's interesting because she actually found, according to her, that she really was happy to have the Future Shock there and the extra comfort and control that she felt that it offered. And then the bike's a little bit extra weight for her. She's relatively lightweight, and so it brought her a lot more control on those fast ascents that she wasn't entirely familiar with. Otherwise, this is set pretty familiar with the Zip 303 SW wheels with the Tracer tires and a 50mm width front and rear, and then the 12-speed SRAM drivetrain here with the 46 tooth chainring and the 10-52 tooth cassette. Caleb Schwartz finished 6th on the day, outsprinting a bunch of the Life Time Grand Prix guys in a critical race for them to finish 6th on the day on this Mondraker Arid Carbon. Schwalbe Thunderbird's 2.1 inch front and rear. The Mondraker here has a 50mm tire clearance front and rear, and so it makes sense to see that here. You have a SRAM XX 1x12 drivetrain with the Wolftooth Aero chainring and the SRAM Red Access chain rings. Schwalbe says that their gravel tires are purpose made for this type of thing, but he's still out here on the Thunderbird
introverts.
That's it, everyone. If you have any questions, let us know in the comments down below. We have a lot more photos and details to come up down Velo. We'll link it down below as well. And that's it from Bentonville, Arkansas. The season is over with the Life Time Grand Prix, and I'm ready for a break. See you on the next one. Happy trails.